Continuing our session on the topic of Introduction to Data Science, we will now delve into data science methodology or the workflow of a data science project. Okay, so the first question is, what is methodology? Methodology is a general strategy that guides processes and activities in a specific domain. It doesn't depend on specific technologies or tools, nor it is a set of techniques or a recipe. Instead, the methodology provides a data scientist with a framework on how to proceed with whatever method, processes, and heuristic they will employ to get answer or result. Here is the visual representation of the methodology or workflow of data science project. The data science project flow begins with understanding the business, followed by determining the analytic approach to be taken, then identifying the required data, proceeding to the data collection process, and after the data collected, the next step is to analyze and understand the data. Then, once the data has been understood and analyzed, it's prepared for the development of the model identified in the analytic approach section. After data is ready, the chosen model is then created. The developed model is then evaluated to see if it meets the criteria and objectives of the problem to be solved. If the model meets the set criteria and standard, it will then be deployed and utilized. The performance of this model is then monitored over time and updated as necessary to meet the problem's need. This is a broad overview of the data science methodology. I will now explain each segment of the data science methodology in more detail and with specific example. The first segment is business understanding. Every project starts with business comprehension. The business sponsors requiring an analytical solution play the most crucial role at this stage, as they typically define the problem, project objective, and solution requirements from a business perspective. This initial stage lays the foundation for successful business problem solving. To ensure project success, sponsors should be involved throughout the project, providing domain expertise, reviewing findings, and ensuring the work stays on track to produce the desired solution. Here are some questions that need to be asked and answered to understand the problem at hand and how to solve it. So we need to know what the problem is, who is experiencing the problem, when the problem occurs, where it happens, the expected outcomes from resolving the problem, and what has happened in the past concerning the issue. Now, I will explain this business understanding stage using the defaulting loan example common in banks. Banks offer various lending services like home loans, unsecured loans, credit card, etc., where they profit from the interest on these loans. However, banks can also incur losses if these loans are not repaid. That's why banks scrutinize loan application and only approve those expected to repay based on information from the loan application process, like the borrower's ID, tax ID, family card, employment verification letter, pay slips, detail about the company that the borrower works for, bank statement, and various other data. The challenge is the difficulty of accurately and swiftly vetting this loan application. The verification process is currently prolonged because it's mainly manual, leading to a high number of default loans. Conversely, if banks overly scrutinize application and aim to be oversafe, overly safe, they risk approving too few loans, leading to suboptimal profit. So the goal is for the bank to be able to vet loan applications more accurately and quickly. Now let's move on the second stage, determining the analytic approach. Once the business problem is clearly defined, a data scientist can decide on an analytic approach to address it. This stage involves articulating the problem in terms of statistical and machine learning techniques, enabling the organization to identify the most suitable methods for the desired outcome. For example, if the goal is to predict responses like yes or no, the analytic approach can be defined as building, testing, applying a classification model. Now, I will explain this analytic approach stage using the defaulting loan example common in bank. The goal of this example project is for the bank to accurately decide whether a loan application should be approved or rejected. Thus, the chosen analytic approach is to create, evaluate, and implement a machine learning classification model that can predict whether a proposed loan will be repaid or default. Now, let's move on the third stage, which is determining the data requirements. The selected analytic approach dictates the data needs. Specifically, the analytic method to be employed requires certain data content, format, and representation, all guided by domain knowledge. So, in this segment, we have to determine the necessary data and the ideal data format for the needs identified in the analytic approach section. Now, I will explain this data requirement stage using the defaulting loan example common in bank. Since the chosen analytic approach is to develop a machine learning classification model, the implementation will involve the model reading specified loan application data and providing a prediction on whether the borrower will repay. Thus, the required data include the historical loan data that has occurred up until now, both those repaid and those defaulted. This data must compiled into one table, where each row represents one past loan and its eventual outcome, repaid or defaulted. The data must be in a digital form, ready to use for the predetermined machine learning model. This table provides an estimated example of the data needed to develop the machine learning classification model identified in the analytic approach section. A detailed explanation and practice for this case will be taught in Module 3. Now let's proceed to the fourth stage, which is data collection. In the initial data collection phase, data scientists identify and gather available data resources, whether structured, unstructured, or semi-structured, relevant to the problem domain. Often, a decision must be made regarding investing additional resources to access less available data elements. It might be best to delay this investment decision until more is known about the data and its model. If there are gaps in the collection, the data scientist may need to revise the relevant data requirement and collect new or additional data. Although sampling and data subsets remain important, high-performance platforms and in-database analytics now allow data scientists to use much larger dataset containing much or even all available data. By incorporating more data, Predictive model may be better equipped to represent rare occurrences such as disease accident or system failure. Factors to consider in the data collection process including data source, data storage location, stored data format, data type, method of obtaining the data privacy. Firstly, the required data sources can typically be from user profile, user activity or transaction, enterprise resources, world trends or activity, etc. Secondly, the required data can be stored in the same or different department within a company or organization. The necessary data can also come from outside the company, either from the other companies or from publicly available data. Thirdly, the format of the required data can still be stored in hard copy on paper, or still in digital document format such as Excel file, or may already be in a database format. Naturally, the most challenging and time-consuming data to collect is in hard copy format. Fourthly, the types of required data can be in form of numbers, text, images, audio, or video. Fifthly, the required data can typically be accessed from a data warehouse or from REST API, or even from website page using web scraping method. Sixthly, when collecting and using the required data, always ensure that we do not break the law. For instance, if we want to use an individual's person data, that person must give consent for this use. Now I will briefly explain the difference between structured and unstructured data. Structured data is data that follows a predetermined data model and is therefore easy to analyze. Structured data follows a tabular format with relationship between different rows and columns. A common example of structured data is an Excel file or SQL database. Each has structured rows and columns that can be sorted. On the other hand, unstructured data is information that doesn't have a predetermined data model or isn't organized in a predetermined manner. Unstructured information usually contains a lot of text, but might also include data such as dates, numbers, and facts, resulting in disorder and ambiguity, making it hard to understand using traditional programs compared to the data stored in structured database. Common examples of unstructured data include text, audio, video, or NoSQL database. More than 80% of all data generated today is considered unstructured, and this number will continue to rise with the proliferation of the Internet of Things or IoT. Unstructured data is challenging to deconstruct. Conversely, non-relational or NoSQL databases are best suited for managing unstructured data. The language used to manage structured data is called Structured Query Language, also known as SQL. Now I will explain the data collection phase using the example of loan default commonly occurring in bank. The data source to be collected could be from bank database or data warehouse if the bank has stored it neatly digitally. Or it might come from digital files like Excel, PDF, etc. Or perhaps the data is still stored in hard copy or paper. This point is to collect the data and, if necessary, transform its format according to the predetermined data requirement. During this process, A data scientist typically collaborates with a data engineering team who know where the data is stored and how to retrieve it. And throughout all these processes, constant communication and collaboration with the most knowledgeable domain supervisor or client are essential. Now we move to the fifth stage, which is the data understanding or comprehension phase. After data collection, data scientists usually use descriptive analytics and visualization technique to understand the content of the data, assess data quality, and gain initial insight about the data. And additional data collection may be needed if any gaps or shortcomings are found in the existing data. When analyzing data, always remember that the problem goal. When analyzing data, always remember the problem's goal. The analysis conducted should always aim to answer questions related to the problem. Common check during data analysis include checking data variation, relationship between data, and column, data trend, and outlier data. Then, when visualizing data, always know and remember who we intend to convey our insight to. Therefore, choose a data visualization method that suits the person to whom we want to convey our analysis result. Here are two different ways of explaining the same data. In your opinion, which way is better, the left or the right? The actual answer depends on the purpose. The left visualization is more aesthetically pleasing and clearer, but the height of the stock book doesn't match the given percentage value. In the visualization, 82% looks more than twice as large as 75%. It was deliberating designed that way to emphasize the growth rate of high school graduation in the US under President Obama's leadership. On the right, the data visualization is more accurate, but lacks a clear title and description. This visualization method is typically suitable for personal analysis only. Now, which of these is better, left or right? For this one, the right visualization provides clearer information compared to the left, as it zooms in on the trend line, showing temperature changes over the years more distinctly. The y-axis or Fahrenheit degree range is limited to 55 to 60, which is sufficient since global temperature have never gone below or above this range from 1880 to 2014. Now, I will explain the data understanding phase using the example of loan defaults commonly occurring in banks. The loan history data collected is then analyzed and understood using statistical method and visualization technique aimed to understanding the differences between settled loans and default, and determining if the collected data is sufficient. If the collected data is the result of sampling, or only a portion of the data is taken, not all historical data occurrences are taken, the data must cover all general cases. For example, do not only take data with small loan amount, and do not only take data with short loan term, etc. After analyzing the available data and obtaining insights, it's essential not to forget to report this finding to the supervisor or client using easily understandable visualization technique. Now we proceed to the fifth phase, which is the data preparation or data readiness stage. This stage encompasses all the activities to assemble the dataset that will be used in the next modeling phase. Data preparation involves activities like cleaning data by handling missing or invalid values, eliminating duplicates, and correctly formatting the data. Additionally, it includes merging data from various sources such as files, tables, and platforms, and transforming the data into more useful variables. In the process called feature engineering, data scientists can create additional explanatory variables, also referred to as predictor or feature, using a combination of domain knowledge and existing structured variable. When unstructured or semi-unstructured text data, such as customer call log and doctor's note, is available, text analysis becomes valuable in obtaining new structured variable, thereby enriching the predictor set and enhance the model's accuracy. Data preparation is typically the most time-consuming steps in the data science project. In many domains, similar data preparation steps are common across various problems. Automating certain data preparation steps can be speed up the project process by reducing the preparation time. With high performance, massive parallel systems, and today's analytic functions situated where data is stored, data scientists can more efficiently and quickly prepare data using very large datasets. Common practice in data preparation include data normalization, addressing inconsistent data, removing duplicates, handling missing data, managing outlier data, selecting feature, and creating new feature, or feature engineering. Now, I'll explain the data preparation phase using the default credit case typically encoded by bank. The loan history data, which has been collected and analyzed, must be prepared to be utilized for building its machine learning model. It starts with choosing the necessary data column for prediction and merging them into one table if not already combined. Then ensure data values are accurate and consistent. For example, the borrower job should be consistent. If term used is entrepreneur, all synonym words or those with the same meaning should follow this format, eliminating variation like business owner, self-employed, businessman, and so on. Also, addressing missing data, such as removing column with excessive missing value or row with empty column, or filling them with appropriate value using domain knowledge and statistical insight. Outliers should also be reanalyzed and addressed either by removal, modification, or retention based on data understanding and the problem domain. Feature engineering can also be done, which involves creating new data columns using existing columns. For instance, we can create a monthly installment amount column, if not present, using loan tenor, interest rate, and total loan amount column. We can also establish a debt to income ratio column using monthly debt payment and gross monthly income column. All these are done aiming for a more accurate model in predicting future loan application. Now we move to sixth phase, which is the modeling or formulation stage. Starting with the first version of the prepared dataset, the modeling phase focuses on developing predictive or descriptive model, following the previously determined analytical approach. In predictive modeling, data scientists use a training set, historical data where the desired outcome is known, to build the data model. Modeling is usually iterative, as organizations gain intermediate insight leading to refinement in data preparation and model specification. For certain technique, data scientists might try several algorithms with their respective parameters to find the best model for the available variable. Now, I'll elucidate the data modeling phase using the default credit scenario typically experienced by banks. For this case, the required model is a classification model that predicts whether a new loan application will be fully paid or default. To create this model, one might try using various algorithms like logistic regression, decision tree, k-nearest neighbor, random forest, gradient boosting, and others. For instance, logistic regression can be used to understand the impact and relationship of each data column with the loan outcome, whether it's paid or default. However, if the sole aim is to achieve the most accurate prediction, algorithms like extreme gradient boosting or XGBoost or deep learning might be more suitable. Now, we progress to the seventh phase, the evaluation or appraisal stage. During model development and before implementation, data scientists evaluate the model to comprehend its quality and ensure it addresses the business problem correctly and fully. Model evaluation demands various diagnostic measurements and other output like table and chart, allowing data scientists to interpret the model quality and its effectiveness in solving the problem. Sometimes, the final model is also applied to a validation set for a final assessment. Now, I'll describe the evaluation phase using the default credit situation commonly seen in banks. The classification models built using different algorithms must be evaluated to determine which algorithm is best and if the model meets our goal, accurately predicting loan application and reducing the occurrence of default credit. Common evaluation metrics used for classification models are the confusion matrix, accuracy, precision, recall, F1 score, ROC-AUC, log loss, etc. For this case, one can also use additional metrics like the total income from the interest obtained and the total loss from the unpaid loan balance. Since we are using historical loan data, we can ascertain the profits and losses from each prediction. Consequently, we would choose the model that offers the highest profit and least loss. Now we move on the 8th stage, which is deployment or distribution phase. Once a satisfactory model has been developed and approved by the business sponsor, the model is then deployed to a production environment or a comparable testing environment, typically in a limited manner until its performance is fully evaluated. Its deployment might be as simple as generating a report with recommendation or as involved as embedding the model in complex workflows and assessment process managed by a custom application. Then, integrating the model into operational business process usually involves additional groups, skills, and technology from within the company. Now, I'll explain this deployment phase using the example of default loan typically found in the bank. For this case, the machine learning model can be deployed as a REST API. making it accessible or usable across various applications. For instance, if the bank already has a system application that manages and records loan application, this application can be enhanced to send loan application data in a predefined format to the REST API. Where the developed model resides, the REST API then provides a response. The prediction made by model, this prediction can subsequently be used to decide whether to approve or decline the loan application. Moreover, if the bank has a mobile app commonly used by customers, a feature can be added where users can quickly check whether their loan application would likely to be accepted or declined, and also get advice on how to enhance their changes, such as reducing the loan amount, extending the loan tenure, increasing their monthly income, etc. Now we move on the ninth stage, which is feedback phase. By collecting outcomes from the deployed model, organizations receive feedback about the model performance and its impact on the environment where it's implemented. Analyzing this feedback allows data scientists to refine the model, improving its accuracy and usefulness. They can also automate some or all of the feedback collection, model assessment, refinements, and redeployment steps to speed up the model refresh process for better outcomes. Now, I'll explain this feedback stage using the example of defaulting loan typically found in banks. Once the classification model starts being used, the next step is monitor its performance to determine whether the prediction is provided are accurate and enhance the bank profitability. And the model will be updated as needed. The goal of addressing the loan issue as effectively as possible. The flow methodology highlights the iterative nature of the problem-solving process. As data scientists learn more about data and modeling, they often return to earlier stage to make adjustments. Models are not created once, deployed, and left as it is. Models are not created once, deployed, and left as is. Instead, through feedback, refinements, and redeployment, the model continues to be enhanced and adapted to evolving conditions. In this way, both the model and the work behind it can provide ongoing value to the organization as long as the solution remains relevant.